I came home for a charger, found 102 people celebrating my brother's engagement to my ex, then learned they took a $17,000 loan in my name. I stayed silent, clicked twice, and in 12 minutes, everyone knew the truth. Hey everyone. Before we kick off today's video, I've got a favor to ask. We've noticed our channel isn't getting as much love lately, and subscribing is one of the easiest ways you can help us out. It's quick, free, and it means we can keep bringing you awesome content. Your support really means a lot, so let's work together to keep this channel growing. Thanks a bunch. Now, let's dive into the video. I knew he'd mess everything up. He always has that green-eyed jealousy thing going on. My mom said it out loud, not even trying to be quiet about it. I was still right there, with the front door barely shut behind me, keys still in my hand, backpack hanging off one shoulder, just staring at my childhood backyard. It was now decked out with streamers, rented white chairs, a massive tent, and over 100 people clapping at me. Or so I thought, until I turned around and saw the banner. He asked. She said yes. And underneath it, a giant photo of my brother Mark, down on one knee, offering a ring to Alyssa. Yep, Alyssa. My ex. Not just some high school crush or fling, but my actual ex. We lived together for 2 years and even thought about getting married before we split up in an ugly breakup. My mouth went dry, and suddenly the cheap Bluetooth charger I'd driven 25 minutes to get felt ridiculous. It was like I'd stumbled onto a stage in a dream, totally confused and vulnerable. Then my mom appeared next to me, her smile warm but clearly fake. "It's your brother," she said, all excited. "He's engaged to Alyssa." Like I was supposed to be thrilled or something, like we'd all laugh about it one day. I just stared at her. She leaned in, her voice lowering like she was sharing some grand secret. "Oh, and we took out a $17,000 loan in your name for the engagement party. Consider it your gift to them." From me? I couldn't even respond. I was too shocked. It felt like something inside my chest just cracked, a part of me that had been pushed too far finally giving up. People kept cheering, someone released confetti, and a woman I didn't know was snapping selfies with Alyssa. Mark was laughing, and Alyssa looked away when she saw me. I didn't scream or make a scene. Just stood there, still as a statue. Then I pulled out my phone, unlocked it, tapped a few times, and simply told everyone, "Check your phones right now." 12 minutes later, each of the 102 guests had received a file. By the 15th minute, you could hear a pin drop in the backyard. And that was just the start of the silence. I didn't stick around to watch the fallout. I walked past the catering setup, the champagne tower, and the slideshow of their love story playing near the tool shed. I moved through the crowd as people began looking at their phones, first confused, then shocked. I didn't rush. I didn't need to. I had set things in motion. The file I sent was a PDF titled "How I Lost a Fiancé, and $17,000, a Cautionary Tale." Inside were screenshots, messages between Mark and Alyssa from while we were dating, Venmo receipts, a list of party expenses billed to me, the loan documents, and even a voice memo of Alyssa saying, "He'll never find out. He's too busy being useful." Useful? That's what I was to this family, a tool, not a real person. You want the backstory? Fine. I was the oldest, the fixer, the go-to guy. When the water heater blew up at Mom's house, I paid for it. When Mark totaled his car, I co-signed the loan for a new one. When Dad's business went under, I lent them $6,000 with a promise I'd get it back next month. That month never came. I never said no. Not once. To them, that was as good as saying yes. Mom would smile sweetly and say things like, "You know how much this means to us," like I was in on some family plan. Dad would grunt something like, "You're the only one who gets responsibility." And Mark? He didn't even bother to thank me. He'd just slap my back and say, "You got me, bro." Right. The tipping point started about 4 months ago. I had just moved into a new apartment, the first place that truly felt like mine. Fresh walls, real furniture, and even some plants I hadn't managed to kill yet. I invited the family over for dinner. Nothing fancy, just pasta and red wine. Only Mom showed up, late, sat for maybe 10 minutes, barely touched her food, and then asked if. So, she casually asked if I could co-sign a $12,000 personal loan, saying it was no big deal and for Mark's business. She slid the papers over to me like it was just a birthday card or something. I didn't sign right away, just said I'd think about it, which was probably my first mistake. I guess that gave her some hope. A week later, I saw a credit inquiry pop up on my report, then another, and the approval for a loan in my name came in. I called her up, asking why she did this without getting my okay first. Her tone switched from guilty to sharp real fast. You said you were thinking about it, which means yes, she said. We needed it for Mark's future, plus you're doing fine with money. That's when it hit me, they didn't see it as stealing but more like sharing the wealth. I stopped answering their calls and started digging into my credit. That's when I found a second loan, $17,000 for event planning. The memo? Engagement celebration property backyard. I felt sick. I hadn't talked to Alyssa in over a year after we ended quietly. She had said she needed space, that it wasn't me, just bad timing. Turns out, it was about me, or really, Mark. I don't know how their thing started, and I don't care. What mattered were those text messages with timestamps. She texted him the day after she left our place, calling him baby a week later. She didn't block me, she just moved on like I was an old couch tossed to the curb. And my family? They were all in on it. My dad helped Mark pick out a ring, and my mom was having Alyssa over for Sunday dinners. While I was beating myself up for not being enough, they welcomed her with open arms and seemed pretty proud of it. The next thing I knew, there was a Facebook post, a private album titled Big Day Soon. I wasn't tagged or blocked, just ignored. There were photos of my brother flaunting a ring box, Alyssa laughing on the patio, and my mom in the background with her signature smirk. The caption read, "When you know, you know. She's perfect for our Mark." I hadn't talked to any of them in weeks, but I knew what I had to do. I froze the loans. It took 2 days and help from a lawyer friend, but I filed the fraud reports, sent emails, and gathered every bit of evidence I could find. Then, I opened a folder I hadn't checked in months, Alyssa's chat_backup.zip. I'd saved our iCloud backup after the split, not out of bitterness, but because I'm thorough. Inside, there were voice notes, photos, location data, even her journal entries on Google Docs under her own name. One entry said, "He's sweet but dull, too safe. Mark has fire. Mark makes me feel dangerous again." She wrote that while using my Netflix. That line definitely made it into the file. On the day of their party, I parked a few blocks away in jeans and a hoodie, nothing fancy. I strolled around back like it was still my place, which it was for years. At first, no one noticed me since everyone was too busy toasting. There was a cake with Mark plus Alyssa on it, monogrammed napkins, a photo booth, everything. Then someone spotted me. "Oh my God, you made it." And that's when I saw the banner. My brother was on stage with a mic, and Alyssa was decked out in my mom's pearls. Then Mom noticed me and said the line that lit the fuse, "We took a $17,000 loan in your name. Consider it a gift," she said, like I was some kind of Santa Claus. So, I sent the file, and it all unraveled quickly. Alyssa's boss was there and bailed before the second page of the PDF was up. 3 of Mark's friends started arguing with him on the lawn, and Cheryl acted like she didn't see a thing. Meanwhile, Dad came storming over. So, I was making my way out through the side gate when someone decided to give me a piece of their mind. "You think this little act will make things right? You think you can mess with their happiness?" I didn't bother replying. I just gave a slight nod and threw in, "You know, you shouldn't have signed my name." The guy grabbed my arm, and I calmly pulled out my phone. "Touch me again, and I'll have no choice but to call the cops." That made him pause. Perfect. Later that night, our family group chat blew up. "Dad, you better fix this before it gets worse." "Mom, how could you do this to your own brother?" "Mark, man up and talk to me." And then Alyssa blocked me. I let them all stew in their own drama before I made my move. I uploaded the whole mess to a cloud link and made it public. My caption? "Just so everyone knows, this is how my family acts: love, theft, lies, and trading around other people's exes and joys." 3 days post the backyard showdown, my mom shot me a text. "Just us. No drama. We just want to talk." She suggested dinner at their place. "Keep it cool. Your dad's making steak. Mark and Alyssa will be there. You owe them at least that." I didn't owe them squat, but I agreed. Not to chat, but to put an end to this. I showed up 10 minutes early. The place looked like its usual phony self, cozy lights, music humming, laughter like nothing had happened. Alyssa opened the door with smudged makeup and a fake smile, stepping aside in silence. The table was set generously for 6. Mom brought out the dishes like it was Thanksgiving or something. Dad was pouring himself some wine. Mark sat at the end, looking tense with his arms crossed. "Can we just?" Mom began, sighing. "Can we just talk?" Silence. She tried again. "This is all just a misunderstanding. About the loan, we thought you were cool with it. And the thing with Alyssa. Relationships are complicated. You guys were over. It just happened." "It didn't just happen," I shot back. Her lips pressed together. We wanted to do something nice for Mark, for the family. We weren't trying to hurt you. I slowly nodded, then reached into my bag and brought out a folder. Not thick, but every page was a heavy hit. I laid it on the table. What's that? Dad asked, his annoyance showing. The truth, I replied and slid the top sheet towards them, a loan contract with my name on it, but the signature spot was empty. The one they forged. Then came the bank emails, confirming the engagement party invoice with Mom as the event planner and Mark as the payer, supposedly on behalf of me, Alex. Third, a screenshot from Alyssa's Instagram DMs. Telling Mark he better propose soon before I wise up about him still paying off her car. Mom looked pale, Mark read it without a word, then threw it back like it was on fire. That's personal, Alyssa mumbled. No, it's theft. It's deceit. You all used my name, my money, my trust, I retorted. Okay, Dad growled, so you want revenge? You want us embarrassed in front of everyone? You did that already. No, I said, I want accountability. Then I dropped a photo on the table. A bank security cam shot. Dad at the counter, pushing through papers with my social security number on them. The timestamp matched the loan date. The form had my forged signature. Dad's face twisted in anger. So now you're spying on us? I've been protecting myself, I answered. Something you taught me never to expect from family. Finally, I brought out the coup de grace, a letter from the credit bureau, announcing a block on my dad's access to credit due to suspected identity theft. His credit now frozen, his score flagged, no more co-signing. I placed it in front of him without a word. He didn't read it, just glared at me. You think this solves anything? He snarled. You're not fixing this. That's enough, a new voice interjected. Everyone turned. A new figure stood in the room. So there I was, standing in the doorway, when in walks Evan, Alyssa's ex. This guy was tall, lean, and all too familiar. He had this cool demeanor, and he was carrying a folder like he had some big reveal. Hey, hope I'm not interrupting. Thought it was time someone else spoke up, he said, totally unfazed by the tension in the room. Mark, my friend, looked like he was about to throw down. Alyssa whispered harshly, Evan, get out. But Evan was having none of it. He opened his folder and said, just so we're clear, Alyssa was still with me when she started texting him. Ouch. And to make it worse, he nodded at me. Guess she was texting both of us at the same time. He laid out these printouts on the table, texts, timestamped with the same day but to different guys. She played us both, he declared. But he added, I'm over it. Not here for revenge, just closure. He turned to me and said Alyssa told him my family would cover everything because I always do, as if I was trained to say yes. Then, in a flash, he was gone, leaving this heavy silence in the room. Even the knives on the table seemed embarrassed. My mom gave it one last shot, honey, we can get past this. We just have to. But I shook my head and stood up. No, I'm done. I'm not part of this anymore. Not the guilt. Not the debt. Not the lies. Mark, still in shock, asked if I was really walking away because of a girl. I glanced at him and reminded him that it was my ex he proposed to, using money stolen in my name. He was speechless. I leaned closer, you deserve each other. All of you do. With that, I headed for the door. Dad shouted, don't you dare turn your back on this family. I stopped and replied, I didn't turn my back, you did. I just finally noticed. And I left. No one came after me. I got back to my apartment, quiet and untainted by anyone else's mess, and started cleaning house, digitally speaking. I deleted every voicemail from the previous night, 36 missed calls, 12 texts, all the same theme, talk to us. You're still our son. We didn't mean to hurt you. And then there was the last one from Mark, she's gone. I hope you're happy. I ignored it and brewed some coffee, black, no sugar, to match my mood. Skipped work that day and went straight to the bank. Closed the account my folks had been secretly siphoning from and opened a brand new one, not just for security, but for a fresh start. Later, I called my lawyer buddy about that trust from my grandfather. Yeah, I want out, I told him. He got it. The next week, I cut all financial ties, no shared credit, no co-signed anything, nothing legally binding me to them. I didn't tell them, they'd find out eventually. I changed my gym, grocery stores, and canceled every shared subscription, Netflix, Spotify, even Amazon Prime that they were still mooching off of. Finally, I moved. Not too far, just enough to a killer uptown loft I'd had my eye on. Signed the lease the same day I got a farewell text from Mark, she's gone. Good, I thought. Let them deal with the aftermath. I was already out of the picture. A few days after moving, my old neighbor messaged me. Dad had shown up, pounding on my old door like it owed him money. I didn't take the bait. 2 days later, Mom left a note on the old welcome mat, "Please don't do this." But it was already done. I spent the next month quietly rebuilding my life, finally taking the trip I'd been dreaming about for years, just me, a cozy cabin in the mountains, and the book I never finished. No social media updates, just peace. When I got back, 2 emails awaited me, one from a private investigator I'd hired discreetly, and another from my grandfather's lawyer. Turns out, Dad was up too. So, I was going for another small business loan but got turned down and even flagged for fraud. Not cool. Luckily, the second part of the plan worked out better. I restructured the family trust. Basically, my share was now locked away from everyone else in the family, and that sneaky clause about shared emergency access? Gone it was. This wasn't me being spiteful, it was just looking out for myself. Weeks went by without a peep from them, until one day, Megan, Alyssa's older sister, found me. She popped up in the lobby, saying, "I'm not here to fight. Just want to chat." I was iffy but let her come up. We sat down on the little couch by the elevators, no water, no pleasantries. She wasn't expecting any anyway. She glanced at her phone, then told me Alyssa had left the state and moved back with her mom in Ohio. I didn't ask for details. Megan said Alyssa blamed me, but she, Megan, knew the real story. I kept quiet, but then Megan dropped a truth bomb. Alyssa never thought I'd stand up for myself, saw me as too eager to be loved. I nodded. "Yup, until I wasn't," I replied. The very next day, I was in a notary's office signing over the old family car, technically still mine. I donated it to a veterans charity, and they picked it up that same afternoon. Didn't even bother telling Mark, he'd figure it out when the car vanished. Maybe that's when he'd start thinking things through. And when Mom tried to log back into the family health insurance, surprise. I wasn't the sponsor anymore. They've got a figure that won out themselves now. Each step of disengagement felt like placing a brick back into a wall, quiet but solid. This wasn't a shouting match, it was a silent, slow fade. They kept calling, pleading, acting like I was being dramatic. But honestly, I wasn't even mad anymore, I was free. Holidays, funerals, skipped them all, even when Aunt Rachel assured me things had settled down. There's a big difference between letting go and inviting someone back. I was doing neither. Deleted every photo with them in it, blocked every just checking in text from nosy cousins. Enough was enough. Maybe one day I'd reconsider, but not now. My jar of guilt was empty. Some folks think revenge is loud and fiery, but sometimes it's just as icy and final. Like strolling past your dad's favorite bakery without getting choked up, or seeing your brother's name on a missed call and not even caring to delete it. Like remembering your mom's words, "We're still your parents," and realizing blood doesn't buy love. 2 months after my grand exit, a letter arrived from my childhood dentist, a real letter, with a stamp and everything. They'd canceled my appointment, 'cause my family yanked me off the insurance. I laughed, it was the last thing they could take from me. So, I booked with a new dentist, new address, the whole shebang. When the receptionist asked for an emergency contact, I said, "Nope." Then, after a beat, actually, put down my lawyer. 6 weeks later, there it was in my garage, the custom steel sign I'd ordered. It was this slick black mat with bold white letters, "Do not knock. Family no longer resides here." I bolted it by the front door, not really expecting them to show up, but just in case they forgot who I am now. I'm not their emergency fix-it guy or the cushion for their fall, the charger they only remembered when they needed power. I'm the ghost of every boundary they crossed, now set in stone and steel. And the next time they even think of using my name, they better check with a banker first.